So before she was like 1, 2 phrases. Even in the last 3, 4 days, she's been saying things like 4 phrases, and then we will all look at ourselves in the room like, what's happening here? As a mom, if you're going through something, you would go to any length and any extent to get help for your child. So I think, yeah, that's what I did, yeah. The main speech was a big problem. And you know, when there's no speech, then there's communication, and that brings on the frustration in the child. My expectations would be to see the concentration and being able to focus get better. The moment I got in touch with somebody from Swiss Medica, I was able to get back and forth mail. Somebody was like, I think 2 days later, somebody called me, had a video call to explain things to me. So that was, for me, that was already like really good. And I think I felt at peace with it. So yeah, that's why I went for it, yeah.
Good afternoon. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from and why you're here in Swiss Medica?
Okay, so we came from UK, United Kingdom, England. We came to Swiss Medica because we've got a daughter who's got autism. So we came to, you know, hopefully look at the stem cell option treatment and to see how that would go for her, yeah.
What kind of challenges do you face in your everyday life being a mom of an autistic kid?
So I would say things like the main speech was a big problem. And you know, when there's no speech, then there's communication, and that brings on the frustration in the child. So speech, and then lack of concentration, and sleep difficulties as well. So those are the main things, yeah.
Is your child going to a special school or to ordinary school?
No.
And what kind of therapies do you have back home?
So she goes to a normal school. She sees a speech therapist. I think those are the main, speech therapist and occupational therapy as well. That's it.
Do you see any results, and what kind of results are those?
It's a little bit dicey because back at home they're not getting enough speech therapy, so the progress is quite slow. There's a bit of progress, but it's really, really slow. So I won't really, in my opinion, I won't count it as progress. So, yeah.
I see. So how did you come across this stem cell therapy for autism?
Well, I did a bit of searching and looking at things. So, because for me, I felt like, I mean, with how medicine has developed, I felt like there must be something that, you know, would be able to support this kid. So I did my searching and looking around, and then I stumbled on stem cell. So I found stem cell, different companies that would do it, and then that's how I found out about Swiss Medica. Yeah.
So have you mentioned to your kid's pediatrician that you're going to perform this kind of treatment to your kid?
I would say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I asked about it, not in the opinion of going, but just to see what they felt about it. Now, for her, she's like, she doesn't know much about it, so she won't be able to give advice on it. But I didn't say I'm going to go and do it, but I just mentioned that she didn't really have advice about it, so I'm like, she probably doesn't know, so yeah. But as a mom, if you're going through something, you would go to any length and any extent to get help for your child. So I think, yeah, that's what I did, yeah.
So what other clinics have you considered?
I don't remember the name, but I think there's one in Panama, which I actually looked at. But at the time I was doing my research, I didn't get enough information on the system. There are things that were not too clear for me, you know, with Panama. So, which for me, in my opinion, again, I didn't feel like there was a lot of transparency online, like what you know, how much you could know, you would get on. But the moment I got in touch with somebody from Swiss Medica, I was able to get back and forth mail. Somebody was like, I think 2 days later, somebody called me, had a video call to explain things to me. So that was, for me, that was already like really good. And I think I felt at peace with it. So yeah, that's why I went for it, yeah.
And did you have any fears or obstacles before coming to Serbia?
Oh, yes, of course I did. I mean, this is a 4-year-old. We're talking about putting an IV cannula and things for her. You know, I mean, she's never had any like major medical intervention, so I was a bit skeptical of how she would react to things. So that was my major fear about it. Yeah, so my fear about it was how would she manage the process, you know, because I didn't want to make her more anxious or something that would upset her as well. In as much as we're trying to get the best for her, I didn't want to, you know, scare her and things like that. But she managed it really well, and there was also the option of sedation. So me having that at the back of my mind that she could have that option kept me, you know, as a parent in a good place. Like, okay, if she's not managing it, at least she can be put a bit calmer to manage the situation. So yeah, that was what helped me to mentally manage it prior to coming down here. Yeah.
So was there a sedation at the end of the day?
No, no, she honestly, but I must say the staff were really calm. They had like this soothing thing. I don't know. I think they have it naturally with the kids. Maybe because they've dealt with lots of kids. So they were able to keep her calm, and we were all surprised, like, wow, she really did well. So she didn't need the sedation at the time, but she was really calm. I mean, obviously as a child, she'll come in and see everybody, and everybody, staff were like really like, you know, calming her, and then she was okay with it at the end of the day, yeah.
I see. So what are your expectations? Would you share your...
So my expectations would be to see the concentration and being able to focus get better, hopefully, and then obviously the speech as well to get better. I think, yeah, that would be my hopeful expectation, and not to what's the word now? Not to put my hopes too high. Even in the last few days, she's been saying stuff, more phrases like. So before she was like 1-2 phrases. Even in the last 3-4 days, she's been saying things like 4 phrases, and then we will all look at ourselves in the room like, what's happening here? So that's a very good news for us. So yeah, we're happy with everything so far. So fingers crossed, hopefully it will be progress on from here. And another thing I wanted to make mention of was this speech therapist. Like, she would give you really good advice, you know, going forward as a parent, how to manage things, how to, you know, develop things for the child at home, which I found really, really helpful. Because, I mean, with children who lack concentration and ability to speak, I think if you empower the parent what to do, it makes it better, because the child, they won't listen. But if you empower the mom or the dad and say, this is what you should do, this will help the child, I think that comes really, really handy. And I just want to mention the speech therapy was really good as well, yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add about the whole Swiss Medica Serbian experience?
Yeah, I must say the service is really good. It's spot on, like you can't fault it. You know, first of all, when you come to a country you're not familiar with, you want to think, and if you've come with a child, you're thinking about transport, you're thinking about accommodation, you're thinking about, you know, what the child would be able to eat. But all of this, my fears were like, you know, everything was just spot on. I didn't have to bother about accommodation, transportation to and for the clinic, and food. The girls at the kitchen, they're fantastic. They would ask you, you know, what would the child want? What would the child be happy to eat? So I think for me, they understand that these kids, you know, sometimes you have to feed them in a different way, in a special way. And that's just top notch for me. Yeah, that's really good. So the service, I can't fault it. Honestly, it's really good. So yeah.